Hey, it's Pat Gillis here, and this week we've had a couple of horses that have had abscesses in their feet, and we've had to soak the feet. And a couple of people asked us questions about how we do it, and I thought maybe we'd go through that a little bit tonight. You may never be asked to do this, unless you own your own horse or you work somewhere or you lease a horse, or you work somewhere that they want you to do this. This may be something you never actually have to do, but it is worth going over, if nothing else, because it kind of lets us talk a little bit to the way the horse sees the world. A lot of people, will say things like they think horses are stupid. I don't think they are at all. They just see the world differently than we do. The way that we actually put a horse's foot in a bucket to soak it is we use an old rubber bucket that is nice and flat that he can securely put his foot in. If you look at this bucket here, it's a rubberized sort of bucket so his foot won't slip in that. So some people, when they go to soak a horse's foot, they fill this rubber bucket here with water. But if you look at this bucket now, and you think of it from the horse's perspective, it's pretty hard for him to see how deep this water is. See, that's the reason horses are afraid to walk through puddles and things like that too. It's not that they're afraid of water per se. They're afraid that they don't know how deep the water is. That's why oftentimes they'll follow another horse through water, but if it's the first time they're getting to a body of water, even if it's just a puddle, they'll be pretty terrified of it because they don't know how deep it is. And it's the same thing when you're putting a horse's foot in the bucket. They don't have any way of knowing how deep that is. We would start with the bucket that's empty. So this way the horse can actually see the bottom and he can know where we're planning to put his foot. So I'm going to put Dex's foot in the bucket and then I'm going to add water to it after. Okay, so we'll pick his foot up, good boy, and we put his foot in the bucket. Now he can see there, he knows that's solid, and now I can add the water for him. But rather than just taking it now and throwing it in the bucket, I might actually, if I was worried about it, take my hand and get his leg a little bit wet. So he knows that what's coming out of this bucket is water. It's nice and warm, so he's going to like that. Right? And then I just very little bit at a time pour some water into the bucket. Again, Dex is a pretty cool character. He's okay with all this stuff. Good boy. I might go a little bit slower on a horse that I didn't know. Okay. And if I was soaking a horse's foot for an abscess, I would want to get up right over the coronet band. So you can see now we've got the water, it's up above the coronet band, because a lot of times with abscesses they're either going to come out here or through the heel, right? So we want to soak all of that. If I had a horse that was very difficult about this and you had someone helping you, you could always pick up the opposing front leg to keep this foot in the bucket. But generally speaking, if you introduce it to them nice and slowly like this, it doesn't usually bother them. And if I'm going to soak a foot, I'm going to soak it for 10 or 15 minutes, as long as I can manage to keep the horse's foot in the bucket. So we'll take his foot out now. So again, same thing, you try to make it as uneventful as possible. So I'm going to pick his foot up, and then I'm going to slide the bucket out of the way, and then let him set his foot down. So I find my experience with horses is that the less eventful something is the first time you try it, the less stressful it is for the horse. So if we were to have made this a situation that was frightening to Dex, the next time you try to put his foot in the bucket, it's even going to be harder. So if you're watching this anywhere besides at our blog, which is at ismyhorsehappy.com, go on over there, scroll down, leave a message, let me know if you've ever had experiences with soaking a horse's foot, and we'll see you next week, and remember to thank your horse.